This week, we're talking about a divisive preview from Microsoft of an AI tech demo utilizing the classic shooter Quake 2, as well as some additional Switch 2 news that has come out post-direct, like the impressive tech powering its graphical features, as well as the Big N's response to consumer sticker price shock. Plus, we've got a bonus round where we'll cover the release of South of Midnight, the upcoming gameplay reveal of Bungie's Marathon, and more. Welcome back to another news video. All news articles that were sourced for this video will be linked down in the description below. Like, sub, do all the YouTube stuff. Let's get into it. Well, this didn't go well. Microsoft revealed a tech demo of Quake 2 running on generative AI, and the gaming audience absolutely hated it. From a gamer standpoint, the demo is terrible. It's super choppy, runs at a low frame rate. The graphics are warbly and blurry, and the resolution is really low. To top it off, the generative AI will at times hallucinate your location, depending if you happen to look into a dark corner of an area or the floor or the ceiling. It's like, whoa, I'm in a totally different part of the level now, or that barrel wasn't there before. It seems to be that the AI has a limited memory of your location, so it sometimes forgets where you are and it's taking a guess. But hear me out. I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a minute. This is clearly a testing experiment, and the team behind this project, they stated at multiple points of the website where you can access the demo. It's not meant to be played as a finished title. This is clearly a tech demo showing off the advances that they've made with their generative AI model. On that note, they named it WHAM, short for World and Human Action Model. I have to admit, in regards to AI technologies, this is quite an impressive feat. For the AI to respond to your inputs and update the in-game experience accordingly is somewhat new grounds for AI technologies. The goal here for the team is to use this as an ideation phase. At least that's what their WHAM article states. This would be a tool in testing out quick ideas early in the prototyping phase of game development. They recognize that creating art for games is a lengthy process, and this is where WHAM would step in to alleviate that bottleneck. That's the part that bugs me though. AI has been affecting many creatives in multiple industries. It just seems like corporations want to remove the human element of what makes art. At that point, is it even art if there's no human emotion behind the art that is created? Let's also not forget the environmental implications to generate this kind of experience. The paper states the new model requires more than 3 megawatts of power. It's estimated that a single megawatt requires 3,000 to 4,000 solar panels to produce. Anyhow, I wouldn't be surprised if this technology improves over the next 10 years, eventually leading to AI creating our video game experiences in many ways. It's a long way until then, so make sure to thank your AI chatbots, be polite to them, and hopefully they'll remember you when Judgment Day comes for us. Nintendo's been all over the news lately. This first one comes from Nvidia. We have confirmation that the Switch 2 utilizes AI-powered DLSS and 4K gaming. DLSS is Nvidia's AI-powered upscaler. It allows games to run internally at a lower resolution and be upscaled without losing much quality. DLSS is currently the best version of this type of technology in the market, beating out AMD's FSR, for now at least. Tensor cores are what drive DLSS, and they also are utilized to enable face tracking and background removal in video chat use cases, which we saw a demo of this in the Switch 2 Direct. This article also states that there are ray tracing cores in the custom chip used within the Switch 2, we may see games utilize a level of ray tracing to deliver better lighting, reflections, and shadow details in games. And lastly, variable refresh rate is powered by Nvidia G-Sync in handheld mode to ensure smooth, tear-free gameplay. These are the kind of tech specs I wanted to see in the Switch 2 Direct from last week, but I understand that Nintendo Directs typically leave out all of the high-level sort of tech jargon. We'll have to wait and see what games come out that utilize these features. Cyberpunk was recently confirmed to be using ray tracing on the Switch 2, which is quite impressive for a handheld at this price point. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what comes in the future for the Switch 2 and its games. So we also got some responses from Nintendo themselves in regards to some directed questions. This is really in regards to some of the hardware and prices. The first one is in regards to their new Joy-Con 2 controllers. I saw this over at Eurogamer. They were part of a developer roundtable event where the tech lead Tetsuya Sasaki responded to a question regarding the original Joy-Con drift issues. To quote, "As you may have witnessed and felt, the new Joy-Con 2 controllers for the Nintendo Switch 2 have really been designed from the ground up, from scratch, to have bigger movement and smoother movement," Sasaki said in response to a question about eliminating drift without going into further detail. He also responded to another question regarding the Bluetooth connections, which older Joy-Con controllers struggled with as they aged, if they have been improved for the Joy-Con 2. To quote again, "If I were to go into it, I feel like it's going to take forever," Sasaki said. So I will start with, yes, it has improved. And if I were to add a little bit more, wireless features really depend on the size has a big impact. So the bigger the antenna, the better the connection. And as we've been able to do that, I think you'll find the connection is improved. The number of antennas has increased. A lot of other adjustments have been made to improve it. Saying the connection is improved is a little assuring. I own 2 sets of Joy-Cons for my original Switch, and both of them have a level of drift when I use them. It's really annoying when it happens, and it always happens at inopportune times while I'm playing a game. I wish they would have used Hall sensors, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how good these new Joy-Con 2 controllers are. Alright, so now onto the bad news. Depending how you feel about it, really. There has been a lot of backlash regarding the pricing of the Nintendo Switch 2 games at $80, and Nintendo finally responded, or made a sort of response that sounds typical of a giant corporation. This comes from IGN. They interviewed Nintendo of American VP of Product and Player Experience, Bill Trinan. It's important to point out this occurred on April 3rd of 2025, prior to the Switch 2 Direct. Regardless, this is what he had to say. Quote, "I would say it's less about the strategy of pricing Mario Kart World. It's more just whenever we look at a given game, we just look at what is the experience, and what's the content, and what's the value." And to sum it up, he continued, "But honestly, this is a game that is so big and so vast, and you will find so many little things in it to discover. And there's still some other secrets remaining that I think as people end up buying and playing the game, they're going to find this to be probably the richest Mario Kart experience they've ever had." He had a similar thing to say as well for the Switch 2 Edition games, basically saying they look at the content and the value of the game and determine the right price for the value of the entertainment. Just as a quick sidebar, they also stated that the $450, $499 price point for the Switch 2 in the US was determined prior to the disruption tariffs are creating in their pre-orders. I'm going to take a bet here that the console pricing is going to go up, unless a miracle deal is worked out between the US and specific nations where the device is being manufactured. But yeah, in regards to actual games, this is it. Nintendo has started the $80 price point for big AAA games. Let's see who else follows their lead. Do you have any predictions for games releasing in the future for $80? We can safely assume GTA 6 will be an $80 game. But are there any others that you want to predict? Let me know down in the comments below. Alright, that wraps up our main news stories for the week, but hang tight, we're about to go into the bonus round. Also, if you're enjoying this video, consider supporting my channel by subscribing. And while you're down there, hit that like button. It really means a lot to me, and I am super appreciative of it, so thank you. So South of Midnight has released, and so far the reviews coming in are generally positive. Early impressions highlight the game's strong sense of atmosphere and compelling narrative. The game's Southern Gothic setting and mythology are also praised for their originality and immersive quality. When it comes to gameplay, the game seems to heavily emphasize exploration of the environment and solving environmental puzzles. Combat is there, but it may not be the main focus of the game. That said, the reviews for South of Midnight seem to be somewhat divided on the gameplay mechanics, with some finding them engaging and others less so. While not universally praised, the game does appear to be receiving a generally positive reception, particularly for its art style and setting. So final verdict: a compelling narrative and atmosphere carry a potentially divisive gameplay experience. The game is being recommended for those who prioritize story and world building over deep or innovative gameplay mechanics. So in our next story, Bungie has finally announced that they will be showcasing gameplay for their upcoming marathon game. The gameplay reveal livestream is scheduled for Saturday, April 12th. And the livestream will be broadcasted on Bungie's official Twitch channel. This will be the first significant look at Marathon's gameplay since its initial announcement in 2023. In case if you didn't know, the original Marathon trilogy was developed by Bungie back in the 1990s. They were critically acclaimed single-player sci-fi first-person shooters that also had some multiplayer in them as well. And they had a strong focus on narrative. This new Marathon is a bit of a departure, reimagined as a PvP-focused extraction shooter. The livestream will feature Bungie's developers, including the game director, art director, and design lead, who will discuss the game and answer questions. While gameplay will be shown, a specific release date for Marathon has not yet been announced. I'm very excited for this reveal. I know some people aren't too excited about the switch from a first-person narrative shooter to a PvP extraction shooter, but Bungie is one of the masters when it comes to how a shooter feels while playing it. So I'm keeping my hopes up. I'm looking forward to this date personally. Are you? Let me know. Remember Ravenholm by Arkane Studios? Arkane poured their hearts into a Half-Life 2 spin-off. It was set in the terrifying town of Ravenholm, but its cancellation hit the team pretty hard. So Arkane Studios, they aim to meet this annual release schedule, and it was supposed to align with Valve's episodic content release for Half-Life 2. This was back when we had the Half-Life 2 episodes. So we had episode 1 and episode 2. Episode 3 never came out, because Valve doesn't know how to count to 3. Arkane really showed their commitment, and they wanted to release this spin-off game in the Half-Life universe alongside with the episodes. So unfortunately that didn't happen, but despite the setbacks, the late visionary artist Victor Antonov, who is the person behind City 17's iconic look in Half-Life, they provided Arkane with a crucial masterclass. The lessons learned from Antonov during this period were fundamental in shaping the distinctive artistic and design philosophies that would define Arkane's future with their hits like Dishonored and Prey. Amazing games. I highly recommend you play them, especially the Dishonored series. The canceled Ravenholm project, it remains a fascinating what-if scenario, what if Arkane actually finished this game and released it? It probably would have been a pretty unique take on the Half-Life universe through the lens of Arkane. For our last news story, we're going to talk about AMD. Back in January 2025, Nvidia introduced new ray tracing technologies utilizing neural shaders. We covered this in a prior news video actually. And the TLDR-W is more efficient ray tracing graphics utilizing exclusive code for Nvidia hardware features. AMD has submitted patents for future hardware, which mention similar types of features with neural rendering based ray tracing. This really solidifies the future of game technologies pursuing ray tracing, with AMD also committing to ray tracing for its future hardware. We can speculate that their next generation of RDNA, AMD's hypothetical architecture for future graphics cards, will leverage these new patents. Next-gen consoles will also more than likely use RDNA 5, at least the PlayStation and Xbox, since they use AMD chipsets. Once again, this clearly shows how far ahead Nvidia is when it comes to graphics processing technologies. This also happened with Nvidia's DLSS, which is an AI-powered upscaler. AMD ended up following suit 1 to 2 years later with their own feature that they call FSR. We probably won't see any new ray tracing features from AMD for another couple years. I'm an Nvidia fan myself, but I'm also rooting for AMD to catch up and provide some better competition against Nvidia. Someone needs to shake up Nvidia, as they've been getting a bit too comfortable leading in this specific market. And that's a wrap for this week's news video. If you have any thoughts in regards to any of these news topics we covered today, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to read your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more great gaming content. Also, make sure to check out this recommended video right here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.